A lot of hard work going on with that.
Yes.
All right, next up is we're going to have a little public meeting here on the 411 North Main Street lot division. That's not a public hearing, so, it's not like we're taking serious testimony, but if someone has something to say, we'll go ahead and invite you up and let you speak towards it. So, Bill, go ahead and get us started.
Good afternoon. As you mentioned, this is a lot division request. It's actually kind of a combination lot division and lot line adjustment request for property that's currently addressed as 411 North Main. So as I mentioned, the proposal does include a lot division of an existing 4.74 acre parcel and a lot line adjustment to an existing 9,360 square foot parcel of land. The 4.74 acre parcel currently contains the Rosauers grocery store and a vacant building, while the 9,000 square foot parcel is currently vacant. The proposal, as presented, would result in the creation of three parcels: one that's 18,000 square feet in size, one that's 16,700 square feet in size, and then the remainder that would be 4.16 acres in size. The property in general currently has 5 different vehicular approaches, 3 located on Main US 95, 1 on E Street, and 1 on D Street. And there's existing public transit stop and shelter on the E Street frontage as well. So this is the property in question. So the existing parcel, 9,000 square foot parcel, is here on the corner. It's kind of shaped as a rectangle, but it's longer in the north-south dimensions, really not shown on this map. The 4.74 acre parcel is then the remaining bulk of the Rosauers property. So what's presented on the screen is the proposed configuration of a lot located here on the northeast corner, as well as one located here on the southeast corner, and then this would become the remnant parcel there that houses the Rosauers property. As I mentioned, there are about 5 different vehicular approaches, one here on the south side on D, one on the north on E, and then there are 3 located along the eastern front adjacent to Main US 95, 2 that are fairly well spaced, and then 2 that are about 25 feet away from each other. Then the public transit stop there is located on the north edge on E, just north of the existing prior pet supply store that's currently vacant. You'll see just briefly in the recommendations, staff is recommending that we, with increased access from potential future development on these sites, that those two northernmost approaches to 95 and Main Street are requested to be consolidated to a single approach, and the exact location can be adjusted, but that would leave 4 approaches to this entire commercial property that should provide good access, ingress, and egress to the site. Just some considerations. All the proposed lots meet the minimum requirements of the motor business district. The proposal would appear to support greater development opportunity in the parcel and getting some out pad locations on the property, which generally certainly is desirable, viewed as being desirable by our department. With that potential increase for increased traffic, we are recommending the consolidation of those 2 northern approaches. They do create a bit of a conflict with the vehicles and maybe turning in opposite directions, coming out of 2 approaches that are 25 feet away from each other, and that would help improve safety and reduce vehicular and pedestrian conflicts on that Main Street frontage. If those 2 are consolidated, then it does leave 4 good approaches to the site. And staff is recommending that all the subject parcels jointly utilize those 4 access approaches for access and circulation. And my staff did meet with the owner or the potential owner of the property, and they were agreeable to the concept of the consolidation of access and felt that there was certainly more than enough access for the parcel. So staff's recommendations, per city policy, this has been noticed as a public meeting for any comments, so everybody within 600 feet of the property has been notified of the proposal. It is staff's recommendation that the lot division and lot line adjustment be approved with 3 conditions, the first of which was a consolidation of those 2 north main approaches prior to the issuance of a permit for any new principal structures upon the parcels. We'll get that out of order. Second is the applicant
Yeah.
execute a shared access easement agreement allowing for those shared access and use of those 4 remaining approaches for all 3 parcels. And the third is just a minor detail of prior to separate conveyance of that northeast parcel to a different party, that the applicant either remove that existing vacant structure or modify that structure to meet building code fire separation requirements. As you can see, one of those lot lines is proposed to be, I'll just flip back here, right through the middle of that building. And so if the building's germane, that can happen. We can just put a 2-hour fire separation there, and a property line can go down the middle of the building. But if the intent is to, but one of those 2 things need to occur before that property can be conveyed and technically that new lot created, to make sure that we don't have any building code violations that may result of that. So those were staff's recommendations, and be happy to try to answer any questions that you might have.
I have some.
All pretty clear to me.
Yeah, I got a few for you, Bill. Looking at the letter from ITD, they indicate that trees wouldn't be going in there, probably if we build out to the property line. Is that so?
Trees can go in there. It's the comment from ITD is the same clear zone discussion we've been having with ITD. So they would like to see trees placed no closer than 12 feet from the edge of the traveled way. So that doesn't mean that there can't be trees on the property, but there may be some separation from the edge of the traveled lane in that locations.
Would that be an impediment to development of the properties and building location?
No, the structures themselves could be located within that distance, and that actually corresponds with our setback location there. So the edge of the traveled way is typically going to be 12 to 18 inches away from the face of the curb. There's an existing 4 to 5 foot walk there, and then a 10-foot setback. So that's automatically going to place those structures outside of that clear zone distance, so that shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, so that'd make that whole site look a whole lot better, I think.
And the owner has indicated that they're interested in doing some landscape enhancements and frontage improvements on the property because they recognize that is the current condition.
And also, given the current situation, would this pretty much eliminate the ability of the city to realign East Street without that peculiar jog that it has that is always stirring up interesting traffic patterns right there?
Well, I don't know that the lot line adjustment is ultimately would preclude that, or the lot line adjustment. I mean, the city could certainly approach the property owner if it had an interest or desire to try to acquire the property to allow for that realignment. So just the lot division itself doesn't preclude it. Ultimately, if it gets divided and if it gets developed in the future with a building or a structure, then that's going to make it certainly more difficult to do so. We did express some potential concern from the city to look at the realignment of the intersection, and I think the applicant desires to pursue what is being proposed to you today.
Okay. Also, there was another letter present about sewer lines underneath the properties. Has that been...
There are some utility lines, and I believe there is a storm sewer line that does cross the property, and ultimately that'll be addressed at a future point of development. So if it is, I think there is, for the southeast corner, if I understand correctly, there was a storm sewer line that does bisect that proposed new parcel. So if it does impede the ability to develop that parcel, they'll have to look at possible relocation of that storm main at that point in time.
Yeah,
But until there's actually a plan or proposal for development, it's difficult to address at this point.
Yeah, it says 2 sewer mains running through the proposed new lots from Bob Bevell.
Not storm, but
It just says
sewer
sewer.
mains, doesn't it?
Sewer mains.
Yeah, I think
And
there's
they would have to consider, like he says,
all of
they have
those
to relocate it, just like they did for Walgreens. when
correct.
that
Correct.
went in.
That's just it's going to be the case that those are there by easement. If they wish to relocate them, or if they're in the way at the time of future development, they will have to relocate those.
And only one other minor picayune pronouncement, and that's on the southernmost entrance onto Main Street, whether they would be willing to flag that as exit only from the parking lot, because with its placement close to the traffic light, there's people cutting across to try to turn into that across the left-hand turn lane headed south. And it makes a heck of a mess at times with who's trying to get in there. So if that could be flagged as exit only, it would certainly ease any potential traffic conflicts at that point.
And it wouldn't necessarily have to be exit only. It could be right in, right out. What you're trying to avoid is that left-hand turning movement
Exactly.
across that, what is the turn bay for the D Street intersection. That's certainly something we could talk with the applicant about and talk with ITD about. Ultimately, to really prohibit that, you would really need to have some sort of median or divider that would prohibit vehicles from making that
Thing to
turning
remember
movement.
is, that's already a double yellow line. That's an illegal left-hand turn.
Oh, yeah.
So you-
So-
Doesn't stop people one whit.
if you wish to really prohibit that or limit that activity,
Yeah.
you would need to
So
place
it's
some sort
something
of
to
physical
work on.
divider on that center lane. So it's something certainly we could talk with ITD and the
Yeah,
applicant
be
about.
something to talk about later on.
My question is, what's the crash data there, though? I mean, if,
Yeah.
nothing really jumps out at me, so
Nope, but there sure is a lot of,
there's a lot of honking horns maybe.
Yes.
but-
Well, you bring that up, I don't think a sign is going to keep,
something.
I think the only way you're going to keep people from making a left-hand turn into there is to put up a concrete divider.
So that
You'd
would,
have to drive over. That will stop people from doing it.
which wouldn't hurt my feelings at all, really.
That's-
Anyway,
man.
those
That's the
were,
future.
but overall, I think the whole project serves a really
Oh,
good
absolutely.
purpose and would so much improve that whole site and provide some more motor business space down through there. I really like that.
Okay, since I said before, this is a public meeting, and looks like Tom's got something to say already before anything else.
Before you even called on me.
Go
Tom
ahead.
Lamar. I'm generally very supportive of this. I think it's a good idea. I had the same question that Art did about E Street and the opportunity for realignment of that malfunctioning intersection, or what I think of as a malfunctioning intersection. We talked about it on council before when we were looking at the 24-hour fitness project at around that timing. It just seems like we have an opportunity, and as you said, I suppose this doesn't preclude that from happening, but it feels like
Further
it's-
discussions,
for
yeah.
further discussion. I just would like to see some, and I appreciate that you also brought up the bit about the left turn in from that intersection, because people start, there are two cars in away from that intersection, and they suddenly stop to turn left, and that backs up that intersection too. So anyway, those are my comments.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks.
Like I said, this is a public meeting. Is any other members of the public want to come participate in city government?
Hi,
Go ahead and state your name and your address for us.
my name is Jane Pritchett, and I'm at 615 North Washington, about 2 blocks from this subject property. And I have sort of a strange concern, I think. In the summer months, there are always trucks parked down here, a lot of refrigerator trucks running their engines all night, and it's very disturbing to the little piece of residential area that I'm in. And so I'm very concerned about what is going to go in and how it is going to be done. And anything about those left-hand turns you were talking about would help, because we hear traffic all throughout the day, smashing and brakes going off. So, thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to add to the discussion?
Clarity.
Clarity.
Shelley Bennett, 2279 Mosher Court.
Okay.
I just wanted to clarify that the E Street opportunity has been looked at, and it hasn't been well received because it basically removes that entire development parcel. Rosauers' agreement with the developer is that they won't build any closer than 100 feet from the main street back, so that they won't adversely affect their parking. So I know that that's not a possibility, but and that there's actually four entrances on Main Street. One that's clear down right before you get to the corner. That one doesn't serve any purpose.
Right.
The purpose is to bring the traffic in at 2 central locations, potentially even relocating the pylon sign to make it more symmetrical. And to make it so that both of those accesses make more sense, which also helps the development of the southeast corner, to move that one a little farther north. So I can see those potentially coming in the future. And the cars parked on the corner will be gone. So where will we park those trucks? That's the next question. just getting the environmental assessment completed took me all day long
Yeah.
to get all those trucks off the site. But do you have any specific questions for me, because I'm working directly with the developers?
Yeah, I think that's not something at this point as far as what happens there. That's between you and the planning department. This is just the lot line adjustment. So.
Right. Just wanted to make sure I could clarify it for the public's interest.
I mean, it kind of sucks that, and I understand, you know, that you want to use the property as you can, and I honestly don't see anything changing with E Street there, you know, with anything that's going on here. So, you know, it'd be nice, but you know, it all depends on what gets developed there. Maybe something can happen, but you know, it's hard to say what. So.
Well, people are learning that E Street is a hard street to get across and a hard street to get out on certain times of the day. So I think the traffic is being generally motivated to go to D Street,
Well,
even
there's
off of Almond.
with the signal there now.
And
yeah.
we might put a sign on Almond Street right before you get to C that would say access, with a sign that says to take them out to D
C
Street.
Street, that little touch of C Street that we put in there has really helped a lot too. So,
Right. Okay, there you go.
thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else have anything for the good of the order? It's not like we're going to gavel them out. Wayne, go ahead.
That area at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock at night is one of the most congested areas that in town. It's terrible to try to get out of that parking lot if you want to turn north. And I've educated myself that I come out of the parking lot and I come out on D Street, and then I either go straight through or then I make a turn on that. I would be concerned that if E Street ever did get realigned, that would attempt to increase the traffic of people trying to utilize that intersection to get across. And right now, if you take a look at E Street, there's not a lot of traffic coming off of E trying to get across and jog in there. Most people, as Shelley said, have become educated that that's not a good move. And so I think it actually controls that traffic a little bit better by not having that intersection aligned, and it forces more people to utilize the D and Main Street intersection, which is much, much safer. So as far as this lot line adjustment, I'm excited about it. I think it's a great opportunity to increase the commercial development on the north end of town, which we certainly need. And so I absolutely support it, along with the recommendations from the city.
Head nods all the way around. I don't know that this has to be even a regular agenda item, does it? A lot line adjustment?
It could be consent.
We've had our public meeting, so we'll go ahead, and if somebody has a concern, we'll pull it from the consent agenda. So, all right, thank you. Looks like we're getting a report from